So, um, I'm gonna try to break down a couple of recent thoughts that I've had, ask a couple of questions to myself, and try to answer them at the same time, and see how that goes. I don't even know where to start. Okay. Well, okay. I think what I'm gonna try to focus it on is thinking for yourself. Yeah. And so let me first attempt to define that. So when I say thinking to yourself or thinking to myself, if I ask myself, is we are all influenced by other people. That's a no-brainer. But we are individuals, right? So I think it's important, at least for me, to not harp so much on the thoughts and on the beliefs and approach of any one individual person. I mean, I think it's perfectly appropriate to take different tidbits and whatnot of multiple individuals so that you can form your own individual self. I don't know if that makes sense. Well, okay, so why do I say that? Okay, so not too long, there's this guy. So I work at a place. I'm not gonna say the name of the place, but let me tell that story. Okay. This place kind of found me. I think God did everything, honestly, but they found me, and I went in for an interview, and long story short, it was a pretty good gig. I mean, it's $25 an hour plus commissions, and I mean, it's an hour away from where I live, but that doesn't bother me, and I have reasons for that. I don't think that's needed for this video, but anyways, so when I started, so it's a sales job, right? And I love sales, by the way. I used to hate it, and the reason I hated it was because I used to think that it was just a bunch of people who are trying to push their product and down somebody's throat, and they're, it's just all about them. It's a selfish job. I didn't like that. Now I love it. The reason I love it is because I realized the value of sales, the value of knowing sales, understanding sales, and being able to do it, but being able to do it right. So, most people will say sales is about getting somebody to do what you want them to do. Sure, but no. Sales to me is about being able to influence someone to do something that is in their best interest, right? They may not want to do it because a lot of people are self-harmful, let's say. We all know it's appropriate and the right thing to do to eat healthy. We all know that it's appropriate and the right thing to do to exercise. We all know that it's appropriate and the right thing to do to be good to others, whatever, right? But a lot of us don't do that. A lot of us don't eat healthy. A lot of us don't exercise. A lot of us don't put things in place to protect us from the what ifs of life, so forth and so forth. I can keep going, but I'm not going to. So, to me, again, that's why sales is influencing someone to do something that's in their best interest that they already want to do. Like, we want to do those things. Like, we want to do something that's going to benefit us, but we just don't do it because we're human. But anyways, so moving on. So this job, I wasn't very good in the beginning, but I got good because I'm very, the way I see it is, if I see somebody, it doesn't matter who it is, somebody who's very successful, has a lot of money, this and that and that, whatever, my logic to that is, if this person can do it, why can't I? Now, if you're somebody who's pessimistic and always looks at the negative aspect of the facts or of life, you'll find plenty of answers, I'm sure, without a doubt. Yeah, for sure. But good luck in life if that's your accustomed approach to that question or to most questions. Instead, why can't I do that? My thought goes to, well, why can't I do that? Like, I have a brain that works pretty well. I have 2 arms, 2 legs. I have this, I have that, I have this, I have that, and keep going, right? Yeah, maybe I don't have that, maybe I don't have this, but just because I don't have something doesn't mean that is the overall variable that's going to keep me from doing that, because no, I have a lot. We just don't consider that what we have. We only consider what we don't have. So anyways, whatever. Moving on. So, I got good at that job. Now, one of the things that happened was, I asked those who were successful in that job and my superiors, and I was like, hey, here's what I'm doing. Give me some feedback. And they did, and I took that feedback, I applied it, and so forth, and then I got good at my job. The issue was, I'm not going to go into too many details, but in this line of work that I am doing, well, changed now, but whatever. It's not appropriate to sell it to just anyone, because there are certain people that if you sell it to certain people, it is going to harm them financially. Well, we weren't really taught that in great detail during training. I came to realize that over time, because I was a financial advisor, so I kind of started gathering more and more information on the financial aspect of this sales process and the product. And also through my calls, when I was calling people, I've had some people express what's the right word? Just express that they were affected and harmed by the product, by them having been sold the product. Okay. I didn't like that, because I believe my purpose in life is to please God and serve people. And I know for a fact there were a few people, because I didn't realize it at the time, but there were a few people that I had already sold this product to, that I look back on and I thought to myself, oh man, I didn't know it, and they don't know it yet, but that product is going to hurt them. Alright. So, during that time, I struggled a bit, because I said to myself, okay, this job is permitting me and others to harm people for the sake of making money for the company and keeping our jobs, obviously. And, they would do the whole, hoorah, you're helping people. And we were, but not everyone. We were also harming some people, and some people very significantly. All right, so I struggled. I thought to myself, I need to quit. I need to leave this job. I can't stay here. This is bad. Mind you, I'm giving full context here. I needed that job to the extent of my financial, right? Like, it paid really well, and I am still in a difficult financial spot, right? And so that was a struggle. But I will not harm people. At least not intentionally, not knowingly. I won't do it. I don't care. I'd rather be living in the streets. So, what I concluded on after, praying, pondering, and really trying to figure it out was, I said to myself, okay, the company is doing business in a way that is not aligned with my morals. However, me leaving this company is not going to stop the people in this company from doing what they're doing. That's a fact. All right. So I said to myself, okay, well, on the selfish side, let's start there. On the selfish side, I need this job. Is there a way that I can stay in this job so that I can maintain my so I can better my financial situation? That's one question. Second question, can I do that while making sure that I, Josue, because again, the company is going to harm people, or it's technically not the company, it's the individuals, right? But the company is advocating or promoting the individuals to harm people, but not directly stating it that way, right? Obviously. And again, they are helping plenty of people, but they just overlook the harming people aspect of it. Like, oh, don't look there. Okay. So I decided, okay, well, that's the way I see it is. This job does allow me to help people significantly. The product does help a lot of people in great ways. So I said, okay, well, I am going to stay for the time being until I find something else, all right? But in the meantime, while I am here, I will not harm somebody. Will not. And so what I said was, I am going to do the sales process my way. I am going to ask questions and understand, do a fact finder, understand the client, and make sure that if I sell this to this client, it is going to help them and not harm them. Right? Now, in doing that, I had to let a lot of, not a whole lot, but a significant amount of sales go, fall down the cracks. I didn't care. But I thought to myself in the beginning when I started doing that, well, potentially, if I don't make enough sales, I might get fired. Right? Because I mean, it's a sales job. The company needs business to flow so that they can run and pay me. Fair enough. But again, so be it. Fire me. Now, by the grace of God, in my approach, in my way of doing my sales and everything, I was still able to make more than the minimum. They obviously always want to set high standards, fair enough. I was never able to meet those high standards, and never will I, because I am not the people who are hurting people who are willing to. I am not the person who is willing to hurt people to hit those standards. So I didn't like this job. I was looking for other work. And it was difficult because during that period of time, there was a lot of work with the job and a lot of hours, so I had limited time to find other work. But then when it got slow and whatever, I started really looking. In that period, we were transitioning, and there was this new trainer for the transition. And this trainer, I very much liked. I was very fond of. He, the way he trained, the way he spoke to people, and the way his approach on the sales process, which his saying, and I use it with my current sales, is, if I can't help you, I won't harm you. And that hit a chord with me. And he said many other things that hit a chord as well. That was one of the main ones. And so I went, because thus far up to that point in the company, I have not yet found somebody or seen somebody who I look at and go, yes, that is righteous. What you are doing, the way you are doing it, and what you are saying, and the way you are saying it, so forth and so forth. From my perspective, my opinion and so forth, that's righteous. I have not yet found anybody with whom I felt that type of way towards in the company. So I confronted him and I told him that he intrigues me. And I asked if I may have some time with him one-on-one so I can get to know him better. I was curious about him and I would like to get to know him better. So we chatted and I told him a lot of stuff. I asked him a lot of stuff and he asks me a lot of stuff. We agreed that we think very similarly. He has a very similar mindset as mine, and so forth. And cool. Where am I going with this? Sorry. So I've built I'm fond of him. I've built a good relationship with him, let's say. And so, I mean, a new relationship. I barely know him still, but so again, we were transitioning, and we're in this transition now. So we're doing a new thing, new product, and here's how I approach things in life. And there's the part that I'm questioning to some extent. So, okay. You know, particularly in sales, but in general in life, you hear things like, you know, believe that you can do it, or believe that you are that person. Like, you know, I used to hear when I was a financial advisor when I started, you got to say to yourself and to others that you are a successful financial advisor. Even though at the time I was not. I just started. But, you know, like, the logic on that, and fair enough, it makes sense, is, you know, if you don't believe it, nobody else is going to believe it. And that's fair enough. Right? Now, my issue and or concern with it is that it, again, depending on the job or the, you know, the field of expertise or whatever, doing that, there's a good chance, a better chance, a likely chance, I would say, that you may harm people because you are not yet a professional or a well knowledge in that space for you to truly be able to help a person. You may actually end up harming them, causing more harm than good. Now, obviously, the intent is for you to get there so you can be good, and all again, right? Okay, cool. So here's how I usually approach, and I've always done this naturally, I would say, but I definitely do this in my sales, and since I got into sales, this is how I do it, my approach. I am a firm believer that I am somebody who is destined to be successful as long as God allows it. So if God one day causes me to be immobilized and I can't do anything, so be it. But unless He ordains that I am not to be successful because of means that are out of my control, and again, I could be wrong. Time will tell. That's part of the purpose of these videos. But I am a firm believer that I will be someone who is fulfilled and successful. And to me, successful is just somebody who is able to cause the most good in the world. Because I believe money just comes from doing that. People will just pay you because you are providing value to the world. Yeah, there's nuances to that, but hopefully you understand what I mean. So I'm a firm believer of that. And so usually when I approach a new sales or a new a skill set, let's say, I am the type of person who maybe the right way of saying is I am analytical in essence, like I'm just an analytical person, but when it comes to learning something new, a new skill set, I tend to take it slower. Let's say I'm not slow, I'm not a sloth or a turtle, but you know, I take my time because I want to really understand it. I really want to comprehend it. I question it. I find answers that make the most sense, that provide the best solution, so forth and so forth. Okay, cool. That has never been a problem for me. Now, one could argue that's problematic because it's going to take you longer to get success and get money and this and that. Fair, fine. But to me, that's not a problem. Because I am not driven by money. I am driven by the serving of others. The money will come. The money will come. So, all right. Now to the point. In this new transition with this new product. My whole approach is, again, all managers, the owners, they want you to do more than this. Obviously, makes sense. My whole thing is, because they always set really high goals. I get it. I don't care. I mean, I want to hit those goals, but what's most important is not so much hitting those goals, but just making sure that, one, I am doing the necessary input. Like, I don't care for the I do care for the output, but the output will come because of the input. What I put into what I'm doing is going to be the direct result of what the output is. So I don't focus so much on the output, one. But two, I need to just make sure that I'm progressing, right? Like, I get it. You want me to go from maybe week 1 only making 3 sales to week 2 making 10 to week 3 making 50, right? Like, I get it, right? Because look at that. He's skyrocketing. He's making great money. You're making good money. Look at you. Yeah, I get it. Fair enough. That's just not me. And again, you can say, well, that's not good. And I'm not saying, by the way, that you should do this, that any one person should do this. I'm just giving my reasoning as to why I do it the way I do it and why it works for me. All right, cool. So, for me, it's more about the progression. So I go, for example, okay, the first week, I only made 1 sale. This was the first week. I was figuring it out. I didn't really understand the product and all that. Cool, whatever, I made 1 sale. So I told myself, okay, I made 1 sale. The second week, my minimum goal, is 3 sales. I need to make at least 3 sales. But the more the merrier, obviously, right? So far, this is my second week, and I'm at 3 sales. Today, I hope I can make at least 1 other sale. I would love to make 2. If I can hit 5, that's solid. I'm very happy with that. But if not, I hit my minimum. Okay, cool. And then I told myself, next week it'll be 5, and then I already figured out what I want my progression to be. First week was 1, this week is 3, next week 5, and then the following week 10. And the reason I thought of it like that is because I'm still figuring out all the nuances of the product and the approach, the sales approach, and all of that. So I know by that 4th week, I should be able to hit the 10. So that's what I was doing. Okay. That guy, the one who trained us and everything, who I built a good relationship with, he asked me yesterday or 2 days ago, how'd you do? And I told him, I was like, I got 1 sale. He was like, only 1? And I was like, yeah. I was like, but I'm at 3 for the week, and that is the minimum that I told myself I want to get, but I am shooting for 5. And he's like, why is that your minimum? And I was just like, well, because to me, I just want to make sure that I am progressing. I hit 1 for the first week, which is not good at all, but I just need to make sure that I am progressing. So this week I told myself I need to make 3. The next week I told myself I need to make 5. And then the next week, at that point, with the assumption, or with the belief fully that I will have the necessary understanding and experience, I would be able to hit 10 the week after. And then from there, continue to maintain a minimum of 10 and continuing to develop myself to get to higher and higher numbers. Cool. Alright, to make this short, his whole thing, and he asked good questions. He asked me if money is a driving factor for me, and I told him no. I told him money is important. Anybody that says it's not, you're delusional. Respectfully, but you are delusional. If you're willing to lie about money not being important to you, you are willing to lie about anything else. If money is not important to you, why are you working? Again, that's a delusional thought. It really is. And so, okay, I want to go back to that, but so, in our conversation, obviously I'm analyzing everything we're saying. I'm thinking about it. I'm processing it. I am interpreting it to make sense to me. And he calls that out. He called it out. And And one of the things he said to me that strung a chord was, because I kept saying, because again, for me it's progress, and so I kept saying, don't worry, I'll get there. And he said, you need to stop saying that. And I was like, okay, why? And he said, well, it's because you're putting a but in your belief. So his example was something along the lines of, you can say, I am going to do this and I'm going to do that, but if anything, right? Which restricts you. It pulls you back. And valid. Very valid. And so he said, you need to say, I'm already there. I'm just fine-tuning. I forget what verbiage he used exactly, but I'm just fine-tuning my skill sets or whatever. I like that. And then again, I always ponder on those types of conversation. I think about it, I analyze it, I go through why do I agree with that or don't. Because again, that's me thinking for myself. I'm not, because again, when I first started that job, I took everything that people said just to heart, and I was like, yep, I'm gonna do exactly what you said, and it worked, mind you, it worked. But in me doing that and not really questioning it so much, it turned out that I was hurting people, right? And again, whatever. And so, okay. I'm trying to think where I want to take it. I have two trains of thoughts. What I concluded, I'll finish up that and then I'll go to the other thing. What I concluded with him was, because this was the last thing he said to me, and this was where I was really like, okay. I thanked him for everything, for his advice and everything. And as we were shaking hands, he says to me, he goes, you think hard, you think wrong. He didn't say it like that. I think he more said like, you think hard and you think wrong. Like he wasn't being disrespectful per se about it. And then the last thing I said to that was, but hey man, something like, but hey man, look, I will get there. And I think he didn't like that, because that's kind of going against what he was saying, that don't say you're gonna get there, say you're there, right? So I thought about it. Here's the fact of the matter, and this is for me, and something that the fact of the matter is, I am not yet there. That is the fact. Now, again, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to say I am there, even though you're not, but with the intention of using that, your words of that, to get you to fully believe that and get you there, right? I think that's appropriate for most people. Because the other thing I ponder on is like, I do believe I'm not special. I'm not. I'm human. I have things that are, unique to me, as we all do. But what I'm gonna say is not with the intention of me being like, oh, I'm special. No. But I do believe that I am different than most, than the majority. There are plenty of people, I'm sure, that are like me in what I'm about to say. From my observation and understanding, not many people are like me, to some extent. Because, because I do, in the depth of my heart, believe that I am going to be successful one way or another. It's gonna happen, but I don't know when, because I don't control that. God is the one that controls that. I believe that. Now, again, I'm not stupid enough to just be like, well, if God's gonna control that, I'm just gonna watch TV all day and relax. Like, no, you're delusional. Stop being delusional. God did his part, gave you the tool sets, the ability and capacity to become successful and all those other things that are good, that are desirable. So that's your job, is to use those things. God's not gonna, but God did his job. He gave you the capacity and the tools and the things you need to be successful. So he did his job, which is that. He is not going to do your job. Your job is to take those things and use them to be fulfilled, to have abundance, and so forth. Of course, righteously, right? There are people who become successful, and most people think successful as having a lot of money. Fine. And again, there's more to it than that, and that's definitely not the priority. But he's not going to do your part. He did his part. It's your job to do your part, right? So me, I don't watch TV. I study all the time. I'm trying to develop myself better. I'm doing these videos for that purpose, so forth and so forth. I'm always trying to find ways to be better off because, again, I do believe it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. I can't control the when necessarily. Again, input. I just got to do input. I got to do input and do input and do input until the output is produced by the Lord. Okay. So, to me, I don't like the idea of saying I'm already there, because I know I'm not. But I also am fully aware that I will get there. I know I will, because I know I'm capable, because I know who I am. And there's something Myron Golden says, so I'm going to quote him from this, and I think it's great. It's very difficult to understand. It was very difficult for me to understand what I'm about to say, and I still think I'm still understanding it, by the way. But I know who I am because I know whose I am. And that's the Lord. Again, I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to even try to explain that because I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But I know who I am. So I know that I will get there because I know my capabilities. So I don't, and again, most people don't have that awareness, maybe. So for them, you could argue, are better off saying I'm already there, because otherwise they may not get there because they self-doubt themselves a lot, they self-deprecate themselves a lot, blah, 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 blah. So fine, fair enough. But for me, that's not the case. Like, I'm gonna get there as long as the Lord allows it, because I am going to work towards that, because I know who I am, so forth. Anyway, okay, cool. So, yes, I remember. The purpose of this video is, again, think for yourself. So, one of the things I thought of after our conversation on my drive was, I thought about a lot of things. After that conversation, I really started pondering a lot. And I said, okay, this man who I look up to, because he's an older man, has more experience than me, more life than me, and so forth. Naturally, most people would think I should listen to this man. And that's kind of what he was trying to say too. Not listen to him specifically, but just listen to the advice given to you and just take it. Again, I don't think that's a bad thing, but I don't think it's a bad thing either to analyze it. Like if somebody gives you advice, I think you're better off going, okay, why do I like this advice, and what might I not like about that advice? Like, how could this advice be not good or be harmful, whatever, right? I think that's perfectly reasonable. just go, okay, I'm just going to listen to it. Well, I think that's not a bad thing at all, mind you. But you won't know if it's bad advice until bad things happen to you. And the reason it happened to you is because you didn't take the time to really question it and ponder on it, I would argue. So when I say think for yourself, what I'm saying is that, you know, like, we all have mentors, we all have people we admire and look up to, we all have influencers that we study and follow and so forth. All that is fine. But I think we need to be careful to just fully believe and take to heart, like fully. Again, it's okay to take something to heart, but like yep, that's 100% true and no questions about it. I don't think that's appropriate. Like, even on the religious front, right? Like, I am a firm believer of God, the God of the Bible. However, and this is a tricky one, and this is a whole separate video, but however, I do question a lot of the things in the Bible and a lot of my feelings and beliefs. I do. But I don't question it with the intent of I'm proving myself wrong. I want to prove myself wrong. No, I question it with the intent of I want to prove myself right. Because if I am wrong, I want to know. I want to know if I'm wrong. And again, why am I wrong? Right? Like, why is this wrong? Like, again, you know, so it's a lot of people don't do that, I feel. At least they don't do it to this extent that maybe is appropriate for them to be better off, let's say. Right? Like, I don't like the fact that, you know, religious people or religion in general is so, or let's say can be so hateful and envious and harmful and so forth. It's not appropriate. It contradicts it, you know. And so that's why, you know, like if somebody wants to question my beliefs, that's fine. And like, literally, my godmother recently was questioning my beliefs, and I what's the word? I embrace that. I invite it. There we go. I invite people to question me, because one, that's how I am able to really better understand where I stand on my belief, and then two, it allows dialogue between me and the individual to better conform a understanding of each other and of the others, you know. So if they're saying something that, oh wow, you know, like, that makes a lot of sense to me, and I think I might be leaning towards you, assuming that I have the right morals, that's a good thing. Vice versa. If maybe they're wrong on something, as far as, you know, wrong and right goes, right? Again, that's something complex as well. And I say something that they go, wow, actually, I really like that. That's going to benefit me. Great. Ultimately, here's why I say, I'm going to finish with this. Here's why I say that we should think for ourselves. Because one, it's going to allow the individual, you, to better navigate, I would say, your life in general. You know, better navigate your life because you better know who you are. You know, you're not just some puppet who just is going along to get along. That's one reason. And then the other one that's most important, I would say more important, for me at least, is if you know who you are, I feel you will be more capable of serving people. You will be more capable of being able to provide advice, provide value, and so forth to others, because you're not just gonna, say something that you believe here and then all of a sudden you shift it because you learn this new thing, and this is now who you are, and I get it. Like, even with me, that kind of has happened. I mean, we're human, that's what happens. But stand by what you believe in, as long as you have an appropriate reason why. An appropriate reason. And then you need to figure out what that means for yourself. Appropriate. But if I had to define it for myself, and definitely for others, but again, to each their own, just appropriate being something that's not going to harm people. If your appropriate harms people, so be it. You're going to do what you're going to do, but that's not right. How is that it does not make sense. It makes no sense. And you got to think, if everybody thought that way, appropriate means the necessity for harming people. Think of that world. What kind of world we would live in if that was how everybody thought. And if that's the world you want, maybe one day that's the world you'll get. I'll leave it at that.